Live from Radio Row at Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, this is Roy Kessel with Sports Philanthropy Network, and we're excited to have with us one of our sponsors and special guests, Antomius Wise. And Antomius, thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me, Roy. I greatly appreciate it.
We're excited that you've been able to share this journey with us. I know you were a big part of sports philanthropy world in Chicago last year, and we're excited to have you involved for 2025 as well. But you've now had the opportunity to experience Radio Row here for a couple of days. Tell us what you've been doing.
Yeah, so for one, I want to thank you guys for the opportunity, first and foremost. And what I most like about this opportunity is it is a great networking event. So I've utilized my time, knowledge, wisdom, and guidance and understanding to go out here and network, and also to bring in more donors and clients for our nonprofit, which is called Wise Protective Service and More, INC, that we assist domestic violence survivors and combat abusive behaviors.
So, as you've looked at everything that you've done, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, you've done a great amount of opportunity to showcase the work that you're doing to make a difference. One of the things that we're trying to get a handle on here, as you see from our wall of philanthropy, is all the great work that's going on around the room today. And so we really want to make sure that the individuals here that this is something that people recognize as a big picture vision, right? There's 170 media outlets here, most of them covering the game, right? And some covering sort of the sport of life
Mhm.
after the game. But we really like to work with the individuals that are focused on how they can give back to the community, how they can make a difference in the world. So talk to us. You've been through it from the player side. You work now with the Secret Service. You've got your protective services. How do all of those mesh together?
Okay, ultimately, how it meshed together is understanding how to move with a servant's heart. I try to teach people there are so many benefits in our society if you move with a servant's heart. So that's more of my message. And even for my clients and donors, I like to work with those who have a servant's heart because it's so much easier for them to digest the information when you're moving with a servant's heart from that perspective.
And I think one of the things that we see frequently, right? We've had hundreds of players going through
Mhm.
here over the course of the last few days this week, right? Financial literacy is one of the biggest challenges that we see. I look at my kids that went to top level high schools, right, and universities. There's almost no financial literacy education going on anywhere.
Yes, yes, that is absolutely correct. And to be honest with you, this is one of those things where um, places like or organizations like nonprofits that they can provide to the community from that perspective. So I try to teach a lot of nonprofits to have certain programs, that can help, with types of financial literacy. And when you have those programs, that's how you can create a lot of revenue from that standpoint. Like we have a financial literacy program, so it brings in a lot of revenue, and especially with the times right now with government allegedly taking away funds and things of that nature, state and federal funds. If nonprofits understand how to create programs and everything, it would bring in so much revenue for them in the meantime while the government figure out what they want to do at this time during the changing administrations.
So, with your nonprofit, talk a little bit about what areas you focus on.
Yeah, so with our nonprofit, we focus on assisting domestic violence survivors in that immediate shelter portion. And then also, too, we have cutting edge programs. So that's what separates us from a lot of nonprofits. So even though we assist survivors, we also assist abusers as well, because you don't want the abusers going back on the street doing the same things, to survivors. So we look at it, we try to do the nonprofit work from a solution based standpoint. So by us creating all these programs, we also assist kids dealing with obesity and also mentor kids whose parents passed away of AIDS. So a lot of these causes I personally have an attachment to. So I just understood how to incorporate everything, and pitch it to the IRS and the IRS approve it. So I get to do the work in the community and get all the funding and things of that nature, whatever, to make everything come to fruition.
So, the issue of domestic violence is a big one in the NFL, right?
Yes.
By its nature, football is not just a collision sport, but really a violent sport, right? The intent is I want to hit somebody as hard as they can, right? I want to knock
Yes.
the wind out of them. I want to knock them out. It's really hard to entirely switch that off when you walk off the field. That aggression that makes you so successful on the field, right? You played
Hmm.
Talk about how you were able to compartmentalize that sort of violence and know that, like, here's where it's okay and here's where it's not okay.
Okay, great question. So, from a player perspective, many times we got to understand emotional intelligence. By me, someone who dealt with a domestic violence situation, getting cut from a team, engaged to a young lady, and she got with a guy that started abusing her and almost shot the guy. But I used emotional intelligence, and on my ride home, I thought about it, reflected on my life. So by the time I got home, I saw a commercial with Obama said he said one hit is too many. I immediately wrote down my bylaws and my articles and submitted it to the IRS, and they approved my nonprofit. And then from there, what I would do is I would take police officers and my security people, whatever, we would provide protection for those ladies when they want to go back from the shelters to their homes to get their things. So just understanding that type of situation, using emotional intelligence, and that's what many players got to use. And you got to understand what society is expecting from you. So this is what we have in our a CAB program, as I call it, combating abusive behavior. I have this program particularly for NFL guys or professional athletes, whatever, that have got into abusive type situations.
So let's flip this, right? Because when you look at quote unquote the blame, right, where does the blame lie? It's hard because you've got multiple elements that overlay.
Yes.
And so you've got the issue of the normal, we'll call it normal male aggression from a sport
Hmm.
like football, right? You've got the impact of concussions and brain injuries. You've got the impact potentially of alcohol, impact of other
Hmm.
drugs, impact of just normal depression or other potential mental health things unrelated to the game.
Yes.
It creates a complicated web
Yep.
of scenarios where somebody may not have the ability to control their emotions in that environment. So what can we do as Sports Philanthropy Network? What can we do as sports industry, right? The organizations, the teams, to make a difference and train our young athletes, right, all the way up. Because
Hmm.
this message isn't going to
Yeah.
resonate if you only start in the NFL, right? This is
Right.
something that needs to start in youth sports, high school, college, all the way up. What can we do?
So what I suggest is work with organizations that have these type of CAB programs that I have, where there's a psychological evaluation first. Then if there's a medical, have that portion first. And what someone likes me, what separates me from the rest is I have what you call a portion where we rehab the relationship muscles. So these people can understand, okay, what is society is expecting for you, and what you need to do, when dealing with relationships for a person you're a value now. This is what society expects from you. So I think having those type of steps in play initially, whatever, is a start. So you can get people back on the right track of what this is what society is expecting you, whatever, coming from relations from coming from a relationship standpoint.
So you're here today with us on Radio Row. We know we're going to put together plans for Sports Philanthropy World June 26th and 27th in
Yes.
Chicago. But I want you to take a look 1, 2, 3 years out in your plan, your vision for Wise Protective Services. What do you see on the horizon?
So in my vision, this is going to be more of an enterprise for me. What I'm going to do, I'm assembling the team now. It's all in play. So what I'm doing, I'm maximizing my Secret Service time. And I'm going to do it more full time. So I'm pretty much hitting the ground running. So connecting with people like Sports Philanthropy, it was the perfect situation for me. Whatever the sports, and the nonprofit sector, I think it lined up. So what I want to do, I want to bring more people who are coming from sports and want to participate in the nonprofit sector, to join forces so we can have a team, whatever, so we can be more solution based in our society. So in 3 years, I'm going to be on the road, do a lot of speaking engagement, things of that nature. Basically, buying all the groceries, bringing them home, and let my nonprofit, cook it up and present it, to society.
Wise, thank you so much for joining us. We
Thank you for having me.
appreciate all your support. We're glad to see you up on the wall
Yes, yes,
of
yes.
philanthropy here, and we look forward to continuing this relationship and hope you have a great week here in New Orleans.
Thank you. Thank you
And
all for
for
having
all
me.
of our viewers and listeners, thank you for taking the time to join us from Radio Row, Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans. This is Roy Kessel signing off for Sports Philanthropy Network. Please remember to live generously.